It's not coming up yet.
Okay.
Code accepted. There are 4 participants in the conference.
That's too heavy. Yes, we're working on that one right now. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
The recording has started.
Greetings, family. Welcome to another one of your Frank 26 UB2Bs. This one's different. Tonight, we're going to be studying once again with our dear friend from Miles and Franklin, Andy. Before we do anything, we are kftalways.com, which stands for Keep the Faith Always in Our Heavenly Father. We are a Christian-based organization. Before we do anything, we always go to God in prayer. Will you join me? And then afterwards, you'll blow the shofar, and then we're going to get into some very deep study about gold and silver and precious metals with our friend Andy and my friend Larry, and we'll be with you in just a second. Abba, Heavenly Father, I come to your throne room to praise you, to worship you, to ask you the forgiveness of my sins. For there are many sins, Father, and I'm so sorry, but I constantly have to ask you to forgive me. Be with me tonight. Help this gentleman that is going to be with us tonight. We're excited to hear what he has to share with us because, Father, I believe strongly that this is the next step. This is the next step for us as investors in this currency. Thank you once again for your mercy, your grace, and it is by your Son's name through the Holy Spirit that I pray. Amen, amen, amen. Andy, blow that shofar.
All right.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Andy.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of Andy, Larry, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am. I'm just driving back from my mom's. As I told you, my dad had passed away 5 months ago, so I'm having to drive out to mom's, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, a couple times a week, help her out. And it's hard. So, but I'm on the road now, so you might have to meet me a little bit while I'm driving. But
No.
We're here to have Andy with us tonight. Those who didn't listen to the recorded call last week, boy, did he have a lot to tell us about metals. And Miles Franklin is a top-notch metals outfit, A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Customer service is in their old school motto. And I'm not going to hold it up. I'm going to turn this over to Andy and let him get you hooked on these metals and see what's going on in the world with metals right now. Andy, it's all up to you.
Appreciate it, guys. Well, I think you wanted me today to take some questions. Is that correct, Frank and Larry?
Well, yes, Andy. In fact, I think that would be a very good thing to do. But before, ladies and gentlemen, please prepare your questions for Andy. You had about 100 of them last time that we were together. Please prepare your questions. But before we do, Andy, we have an email, and we are asking our KTFA family members to respond to this email. And on the subject, what was the subject that we were supposed to put again?
Frank 26.
Okay, up on the subject, family, put Frank 26. And then send this, and Tink, will you put that email address up right now? Yep. KTFA family, you're about to see this email. What you are to do is you are to send an email to Andy. Andy will respond back to you. And on the subject matter, you put KTFA. Is that right? Or Frank 26?
Frank 26.
And what that means is that the moment that Andy sees that, you will now be privy. You will be allowed to have a further discount than the price that they already offer you on their website. So if you don't mind, Andy, could you explain that to the family a little bit deeper? And we're going to go ahead and put up that. In fact, here it is. You're going to be sending an email, family, to info at Miles, M-I-L-E-S, Franklin, Franklin.com. Info at milesfranklin.com. And when you send that, Andy, I'm going to turn it over to you. Go ahead and tell them what's going to happen when you receive that email from them.
Well, you can ask any questions that you've heard on this show or any other, or you can just ask for our special price list that we keep close to the vest for a myriad of reasons, but suffice it to say the prices will be as good or better than anyone, virtually almost any company in North America. And so there's no obligation for doing so, but it's important that they put FRANK26 in the subject line. If you want to be contacted, make sure you put your phone number in there. We'll answer any questions, no obligation, and we'll make sure that your listeners are getting not only special pricing, but special attention from our staff that is more than capable of answering any of the questions surrounding any of the things that we spoke of last week or potentially here this evening.
So when they send you the email, you will respond back with an email, Andy?
Either myself or one of my
one of your staff
brokers.
members.
My brokers have been, every one of them have been with me. Most of them have been with me. I've been friends with them my entire life, long before they ever worked for me. They all have distinguished careers before, some on Wall Street, degrees from Wharton School of Business or Temple University, masters in business administration, all sorts of very distinguished pedigrees and careers that later on came to work for Miles Franklin, and we're one big family like you all are. These are all my dearest friends, independent of work, so they treat everything like it's theirs. But yes, we will reply either with a phone call if you want to be contacted. If you just want the price list, we'll email you a price list or answer any questions that you have. So if you just want to see the prices, say that. You want to be contacted for questions, any questions, put that down, put a phone number, and we will reply not only with the price list, but also we'll follow up with a phone call.
That's fantastic. And I'll tell you, family, this Miles and Franklin organization is top notch. They are rated 5-star, and we really appreciate this relationship because, like I told you, family, I am backing away from teaching about the Iraqi dinar because, in my opinion, I don't have to do it anymore. The Prime Minister's already made a statement to the citizens. What more do we want? The thing to do now is to wait, and while we wait, we prepare ourselves. To diversify is extremely valuable, very important. And right now, Andy is here to answer any of your questions concerning precious metals, a good way to diversify. Now, this is on the subject of gold and silver and precious metals. But if you have any questions, please send that email and feel free to ask any questions that you have about the gold and silver. There's no obligations, by the way, when you send this email out to somebody. You can ask for the special pricing that you'll get under our FRANK26 umbrella. One more request from you, Andy. I found, before we get into the Q&A here, I found out that you have the ability to put KTFA on maybe, I don't know, medallions, nuggets, bars, whatever it may be that the person wants to buy. Is it possible that we could do that we could have maybe something that would commemorate these 20 years that I've been doing KTFA? It would be a collector's item. I think it would be something that everybody at KTFA would want to buy at least one to keep. Is that possible, sir?
Yes, sir. We can make 5-ounce, 10-ounce, or kilo bars. Most people do 5 or 10 ounce. By the end of the year, we will be able to do 1-ounce rounds. But yes, a 5 or a 10-ounce bar would be no problem at all. You can have your staff contact me. What we need is a vector file. It's very important that is something called a vector file. Don't ask me what that is. It's a certain way to save a file for the ability to create a die, a mold.
Oh.
And once we do that, we can definitely do bars for you. We've done them for many people.
What do you think, family? Give me a response later on, okay? I'd like to know if you would like a for Andy to create such a bar for us. Alrighty, let's look at some of.
You would give me a design and save it in a vector file. Probably have some form of a developer or designer make the form for you, save it in a vector file, send it off to us, and yes, we'd be happy to make any design you'd like on said bar.
Okay, well, I'll work on a design. It could be our KTFA logo. It could be just the four letters KTFA. Somebody wanted to put Frank 26. I said, no, 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 no. Let's make this more of what we're going to be doing in the future. In our ministry work. Keep the faith always. So with that in mind, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Now let's look and see.
Absolutely.
Let's look and see what kind of questions we have here. In fact, I knew this would be the first question. In fact, look, family, I'm holding this up if you can see it. Today, it turns out that a single gold bar has hit a $1 million value, the first time in history. Do you know? Is this true, Andy? Do we know anything about this?
It would be a 400-ounce gold bar would be my guess. Let me do the math. Yeah, it is. A 400-ounce gold bar is what's considered a good delivery bar. It's what is traded in London, and that is correct. It would be the first time ever that it's trading at $1 million a bar.
Roger that. Interesting. Yeah, gold is going up tremendously, no doubt, because of what's going on with a lot of the currencies around the world. Especially when you see China buying up gold like crazy. When you see these countries that are moving away from the American dollar and looking at gold. Well, I'll tell you what. You've heard the old saying, "Follow the money." Yeah, I'm going to follow the gold in this case. Andy, from ZM. Well, actually, this is a compliment. I got an immediate response when I emailed into this format. And he's thanking you for it. Let's see.
Well, our pleasure.
Julia Thomas asked the question, what is the smallest amount of money that we can buy gold with?
Well, you can buy silver. Silver comes in, ounces at somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 a piece. Gold, you're talking about even a 1/10 ounce gold coin is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $260 or $70 a piece. You can buy smaller fractional bars like a gram, which I don't really love so much, but you can, and that's going to be, let me do the math real quick. There's 31, in a troy ounce, I believe there's 31.1 ounces in the grams in an ounce, I believe. So roughly, probably about $90 for a 1 gram bar, or $260 for a 1/10 ounce gold eagle.
All righty. Thank you. Let's see. Hey, by the way, Andy, is it your birthday tomorrow?
It is. How'd you know?
I have great intel, Andy. Happy birthday to you,
Yeah,
sir.
I guess you do. Thank you so much. 54 years old.
Congratulations, brother. Let's
Thank you
see.
so much.
People are responding and saying that would be awesome to have the KTFA on the bars. That's good. I'm glad that they're, liking that. Let's see. I think that the family ask questions. If not, Andy will not stick around. Ask questions, okay? Let's see. The prices are unbelievable, Frank. They will be getting much business from me once the RI is in effect. Customer service is outstanding. Well, that's good. That's good to hear that. I appreciate that. Andy, are we able to sell to Canada? Or brother, well, I guess I should say,
We are. If the person wants to pay in U.S. dollars, they would go through us directly. If they wanted to pay in Canadian dollars, they would go to MF as in Miles Franklin, mfbullion.ca, and they can pay in right directly off the website in Canadian dollars. Not my organization, but a very, very, very close friend who is one of the 2 primary distributors for the Royal Canadian Mint in Canada. They've been around as long as I have. I trust them with my life, and so we have a collaboration, and it's mfbullion.ca.
but so then we personally, we cannot sell to people in Canada? Miles?
Selling to camp you can, but paying in Canadian dollars, it behooves them to go through mfbullion.ca, because the conversion from Canadian to U.S. dollars is a killer, and that will cost a few percent. That will undermine the potential. So while I have no problem doing business in Canada, if it's in U.S. dollars, yes, then it's no problem at all for us to do it directly. If it's in Canadian dollars, mfbullion.ca is the way to go.
So I have intentions of advertising what we're doing with you. Therefore, I should keep my advertisement on the 50 states or the 48 continental states?
Well, it's not that we're not able to do it in Canada, but it is certainly more efficient if done in the U.S.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
no, that's
Simply, unless these people have U.S. accounts. If they
Ah.
have U.S. dollar accounts and live in Canada, that's no problem at all. But paying in Canadian dollars is really in their best interest from a standpoint of cost, and mfbullion.ca would give them certainly the very, very best rate, but it would still behoove them to let us know that they're coming from you, and we'll do all the best we can to make that even a better experience.
That's really kind of you. As you can see, family, Andy's talking to you from his heart, not from his pocket. A Canadian, I appreciate you, but it would behoove you to stay with your Canadian dollar and purchase the gold and silver with your Canadian dollar. That way you don't lose money, a percentile, when you do the conversion from Canadian to American dollars. Andy makes sense in what he's saying. Now, if you are Canadian and you happen to have an American bank account, that's different. Then you can talk to us. What about if someone, because you see, Andy, we broadcast to over 90 countries. Do the other countries qualify to buy your product?
Shipping product throughout the globe has become incredibly difficult. It's become incredibly difficult due to really the red tape and legislation of anti-money laundering laws and KYC, AML legislation, and shipping with insurance across the globe is very costly. Unfortunately, it becomes very difficult for us to ship anywhere around the world because of the cost of shipping and the legislation where, money coming from a foreign bank account, it's very difficult to do any vetting whatsoever. So unfortunately, no, we're not able to do that any longer.
Okay, thank you. I've learned something. So I will not promote this outside of the 48 continental mainland and Alaska
We
and
can do,
yes, sir.
yep, we can do Hawaii, we can do Puerto Rico, we can do any of the U.S. territories, are no problem at all.
Like Guam or any of the U.S.
Guam
territories.
is no problem.
All right, well that's good to know. Good,
No
good,
problem.
good. Now I know how to filter this a little bit better. We have Miss Jeannie that's asking, what do you think, Andy, in your opinion, is the next increase in silver?
Well, I think it's vastly undervalued. It's vastly undervalued for a myriad of reasons. Right now, there are 8 commercial banks that hold the largest short position in any commodity ever traded in the history of the COMEX market in silver. And there are reasons behind that, but suffice it to say, if you were just to simply take the price of gold right now, 25.20, and divide it by 42, that's the average price ratio we've seen for the last 150 years between silver and gold. That puts silver at $60 an ounce. It's coming out of the ground right now at a 7-to-1 ratio. So, you take 25.20 and divide it by 7, which is the real, let's call that God's ratio. It's the geologic ratio right now. That's $360. If it weren't for the overt suppression by the Western central banks that have been holding it down in order to, I believe, enable the military-industrial complex to accumulate vast amounts of silver to make high-tech weapons that need it. There's 500 ounces of silver in a Tomahawk missile. All of those high-tech weapons take copious amounts of silver. And there is no other reason where you would have 8 Western commercial banks suppressing silver, unlike any other commodity traded, if it were not strategic for some reason. And what's happening is that countries like India and China are standing for delivery across the Western exchanges like the London Metals Exchange and the COMEX. They are using our suppression against us. It's one of these things where now you have China going all around Latin America, buying up all the unrefined silver in doré form and in silver concentrate directly from the miners and sending it back to China to refine it. They're already the second largest producer in the world, and now they're buying up anything that's not nailed down. They know where this is ultimately going, and they've been using the suppression of the Western market price to run cover for their de-dollarization and their draining of the physical shelves. My guess is it will go higher than anyone thinks possible, but I don't really know if it moves in a linear fashion. It could gap up quite a bit very quickly. It could meander and then do so, or it could be linear. All I can tell you is there are very few assets on the planet that have the fundamentals that silver do. It's decreasing in nature. For 5,000 years, the gold to silver ratio geologically has been 16 to 1. Now it's 7 to 1. And that's because it's found in nature in a form called epithermal, which means very near the surface, just like your skin is epidermis. The big deposits were found decades ago. And as the needs have expanded in green and digital and military applications, the availability of in-the-ground silver has become harder and harder and harder to find, creating a 265 million ounce shortfall between supply and demand last year, roughly the same the year before. And any of the silver that's used in industrial applications, electronics, certainly in military applications, it ends up either blown up in a missile or scrapped in a landfill in a fifth of an ounce of silver in a remote control that you used 30 years ago, or the first black and white TV you watched had silver in all the soldering points, or silver's used in anything that conducts electricity just about, or electronics. Most of that stuff ends up in landfills, and it doesn't make sense to recycle a tiny amount of silver in a motherboard when you just scrap it. Gold, on the other hand, just about everything that's ever been mined is either in the form of jewelry or bars or coins or recycled out of industrial applications because it's so valuable. Silver, on the other hand, it hasn't been economical. So a lot of that silver is gone forever. The moral of the story is it's an asset that is massively increasing in green, digital, and military applications and decreasing both above ground and below. It offers potential that I've never seen in 34 years in this industry or basically any other, in the respect that its downside risk is nearly muted. We call that an asymmetrical trade, where it's asymmetrical in the respect that the upside potential vastly is vastly higher than the downside risk, and so asymmetrical in a positive form. I look at it as the value of a generation, in all honesty, and I do mean that.
That's interesting, good way of putting it. Good question, Miss Jeannie. Next question from Digital Trooper. Hey guys, can I buy silver with crypto from Miles Franklin?
Yeah, we would send you a BitPay link. You would want to open up an account at BitPay. And so, yeah, you can do that. BitPay does their own KYC and AML. And, you say, I want to purchase X amount with Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatnot. We send you a BitPay link. You follow the link, send the funds. We acknowledge receipt and send everything out to you. So the answer is yes.
Thank you. Let's see. Next question. Deborah Cox. If you buy a certain amount of gold now, can you buy more later and add it to your account?
Sure, of course. I mean, especially if we're delivering it directly to you, it's irrelevant. And the answer is yes. We would like to earn your listeners' trust in business whenever they're looking to buy or sell metals, as frequently or as infrequently as they like. I probably told the story last week when I was with you that I've been buying it every 2 weeks for 34 years. Never missed a 2-week period. It was a promise I made to my father when we started our company. And I've honored that word, my word to him. To me, it's wealth. And so the power of compounding, not
Yes.
just of interest, but of time. And so being regimented for me has been an amazing gift that my father gave me. He said it was the only rule in 1989. I was 19, be 54 tomorrow. And for 35 years, I have never missed a 2-week period. It is my wealth. I've accumulated it not as an investment, but as wealth. The power of compounding is an amazing thing. It adds up. So yes, the answer is absolutely. We'd love to earn your business as often as you would like.
Next question, Michael Soto. How do we receive the gold and silver through shipping?
Typically through Federal Express, we will, let's say I were to ship a $5,000 package by FedEx. We will insure it through FedEx for maybe $150 or $200 with adult signature required. So that they are giving it special care, seeing that it has a little bit of insurance on it. It has to be signed for by an adult. But Lloyd's of London has tracking software that meshes with Federal Express's. And so it's fully insured from start to finish, yet the driver doesn't know that he's bringing you a $5,000 package in a small box and maybe say something inappropriate like, geez, what do you got in here, gold? So it's fully insured from start to finish. It's set by FedEx, and anything over a certain amount of gold and silver, a very small amount, we pay shipping. The most it will ever cost you is $15 fully insured by Federal Express directly to your home with insurance done supplementally to maximize your privacy.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I like that. Let's see. Be rad. Is there a cap on the amount that a purchase or on the amount that can be shipped?
There is not an amount that can be shipped. We would ship it in multiple boxes.
Right.
Insurance is typically limited to about $150,000 per box max. But no, we did 2 orders last year, each in excess of $50 million, and so we did $950 million in sales last year. So we have no problem doing any size order and shipping it anywhere you'd like. It just wouldn't come in one box.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. So the sky's the limit for you, family. And that was for Be Rad. Next question from Hi Cindy. Can we transfer? Can we transfer 401k and how do we do that?
Well, a 401k means that you've been working with the company. If you're still at that company, probably not. If you're no longer theirs, then yes, you'd want to roll it into a self-directed IRA.
Right.
Once rolled into a self-directed IRA, then we can purchase physical gold and silver for you. The metal is held at a depository, and there are several depositories in the states that we would recommend. And then you can take distribution of the metal if you'd like later, which is a taxable event, but you do have the ability to do so, or you sell it and reposition. But yes, the Precious Metals IRA is a very popular vehicle. We specialize in things just like that. We'd be more than happy to help. But the first thing that needs to be done is that the IRA would need to be rolled into one of the custodians that allow precious metals IRAs. And so the one that we work with most of the time, New Direction out of Louisville, Colorado. Their website is N as in new, D as in direction, T as in trust, CO as in company.com, NDTCO.com. Then you roll your existing 401k if you're no longer employed there, or your existing IRA into a self-directed IRA with New Direction. They're a full-service custodian. You can buy common stock or treasuries if you want, or you can buy physical metals. And we can help you with that and make sure your listeners get white glove service from start to finish and the best prices in the industry.
Wonderful. Next question Can I? Excuse me. Can purchase gold and silver held in storage be visited and touched?
Typically not. Insurance won't allow it.
Yeah.
The storage facilities that we use, I mean, yes, you could probably go and audit it, but it's not something that they're going to want you to come and visit. These storage facilities are incredibly secure facilities and fully insured. They don't want to invite the public to come in and visit their metal.
Good point.
Albeit you could pick it up and retrieve it if you wanted, and but to go and visit it is something that's really not something they're going to want to allow. Some of the facilities will allow you to audit the metal if you do it far enough advance in an IRA. But our storage program, for example, with Brinks facilities are not designed for the public to come and check things out. They're highly secure places that when people, for example, if you were to pick up your metal at a Brinks facility, you would have to fill out a paperwork that's called the appointment form, where they're going to want to know your driver's license number, the make and model of your car, the license plate number, and when you're going to be there, because it's incredibly secure facilities
I like
from the
that.
outside in, and so yeah, not typically going to happen, but you do get statements and independent auditing and all sorts of stuff that should inspire tremendous confidence.
Makes sense. Let's see here. Mordecai is asking, are there other metals that you think are going to appreciate, like gold and silver? And for that matter, Andy, in that same question, what else is there besides gold and silver? But let's start with the first one. Are there other metals that you think are going to appreciate, like gold and silver?
Well, gold and silver, go back to the Bible. They're viewed as wealth. There are other metals like platinum and palladium that are close, but to me they're more of an investment than they are wealth. And we do sell those. You go back and look throughout all of time when people look to preserve, they typically look to gold and silver. Platinum is something that is intriguing on a purely intellectual perspective. It's been higher than gold for the last 100 years most of the time, yet it's not anymore. It's 30 or 40 times more rare than gold, and it's really been beaten down. It's largely used as a catalyst in catalytic converters for diesel fuel. Used to be for unleaded, but the cost got so high that they retrofitted, most of the auto manufacturers retrofitted to palladium, and then palladium got too high. So the bottom line is platinum is more of an industrial metal, and doesn't have the same role as wealth and money as gold does. But if I were going to, maybe 5 or 10% of my assets in metals, I would direct towards platinum. At this point, At this point, I would probably stay away from palladium. It's just got too big of a spread right now. So for me, it's gold first, gold and silver first, tied for first, and then a distant third, platinum.
How about copper? Do you all sell that?
No, I mean, it's too bulky. It's too for its value.
Right.
I would tell people to buy a stock like Freeport McMoran if they want to engage in copper trading. But no, I mean, when you're talking an asset that's measured by the pound, and just I don't know how much it is right now, $10 or whatever per pound. That's something that we don't trade in, and some companies do. I would avoid it personally.
Titanium?
No, not titanium.
Nickel?
No, again, the only precious metals that we're going to trade would be those that are traded in the form of bars or coins, and things like nickel, which might and copper, which might have great industrial potential. In my opinion, should be done through the companies that produce it and mine it.
Gotcha.
Like Freeport McMoran.
That makes sense.
Nickel's an interesting one. There was a nickel market failure in the LBMA in London, and I think you could see the same thing with silver. And the way they handled it was very disturbing. In fact, that they ended up reversing all of the trades because the price went parabolic for whatever reason, and they more or less I guess you could say, almost defaulted on it. They have since fixed the situation, but things like nickel, things like copper, things like titanium, any of these other intriguing metals that have industrial demand or applications would be best served through securities.
Gotcha. Let's see here. Michael Reed is saying, Andy, what do you think about the recent rise in gold's value? Do you believe that it will continue to increase in the coming years? I've heard that its price has been artificially suppressed for a long time. Now you kind of covered it a little
Yeah,
bit,
he's
but
right.
go ahead and tell him what you think there.
Yeah, he's right. The price has been suppressed, and the countries around the world are using that suppression against us now, because the exchanges that suppress the prices do allow for delivery. It's just that the countries that are now standing for delivery, see, no one ever stood for delivery. They would use the exchange simply as a vehicle to offset risk. As an example, if I have 5,000 ounces of physical gold in my warehouse, I'll use the COMEX to sell 5,000 ounces on paper. That's a covered short, because if I have 5,000 gold coins in my warehouse and the price of gold falls by $100, I'm down $500,000 just like that. Yeah. That's how you go out of business. But I then use the COMEX for what it was designed to do, to offset risk. I will sell 500 or 5,000 ounces on paper. So as one area goes down by $500,000, the COMEX position goes up by $500,000. It allows me to be market neutral.
Yeah.
The commercial banks, at the behest of the central banks, to inspire an illusion of strength of the bond market and the Western system, have suppressed gold for a very long time. There's a term in economics called Gibson's paradox, which speaks to the inverse relationship of real interest rates and gold. And if you suppress interest rates for a very long time, then you have to kill the canary in the mine shaft. That's gold.
Yeah.
Or it says that something's wrong. Well,
yeah.
The central banks of the world have been buying it at a level the world has never seen before. And I do believe it will go markedly higher. And
yes.
Because price discovery in an asset that has been suppressed for so long really is unknown. But I believe it will go higher than people think, and will be pegged to a new system. It will be pegged to a new currency system, because the current system is lacking trust. We've squandered the trust. And now you need a system that isn't about trust us, buy our debt, and think about how unusual it is to accept the debt of an insolvent nation like us as an asset, as a very small sliver in terms of being an asset in historical sense. Gold has been for 6,000 years. It is replacing things like the U.S. Treasury. Gold has outperformed the 10-year Treasury 2-to-1 in the last 25 years. It's doubled its performance, but has no counterparty liability. The weaponizing of the U.S. Treasury market against Russia has incentivized all of these countries to dump dollars and dump treasuries and to buy gold, which is outperforming it, which is protection from the inflation and has no counterparty risk. It's no one else's liability if it's in their own possession.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think gold will continue to go higher. And in fact, it's averaged 9.9% compounding since 2000. It has outpaced every traditional asset. As I mentioned, it's doubled the performance of the 10-year Treasury. And if you look at the S&P 500 since 2000 with dividends reinvested, it's about 9.6%. So it has beat even the S&P over 25 years. You know the old story of the tortoise and the hare?
Yeah.
Gold is the tortoise.
Yeah.
Not sexy or flashy, but it keeps on keeping on. And each year it's averaged almost 10% gain.
Very interesting.
On average.
Very interesting. Thank you for that information. Ray Houghton, I think, is asking a question you kind of already covered. He said, how long did it take to process and deliver that $50 million that you mentioned on last week's call?
For most, in both instances, both clients had the majority of their products stored. They took possession of some in our storage facilities. But the first one we did would have been a few days before the July 4th holiday. We had 2 or 3 days to get it all secured and locked in. I had to go to different sources. I've been doing this for 34 years. I know everybody. And the client bought $27 million worth of silver, most of it in Silver Eagles, over 1 million of them. And I didn't have 1 million in stock, so I had to call in favors from distributors and people I know. and to pay for them and buy them, and I had to go out on a limb and buy them before I even received all of the money from the order based upon a trust I had in this client. We had everything confirmed, $27 million in silver and roughly $23 million in gold in 2 days. The second transaction was a little bit over $52 million, and that was a little bit different, but it took about 3 or 4 days to nail everything down that she wanted, and that was it. In this industry, it's reputation.
Yes.
Not only amongst the public,
Yes.
where we've never had a customer complaint, but this industry speaks to one another. And like on eBay, if you buy and it's a good transaction, the people will write, awesome transaction, trustworthy guy, I'd buy from him again. But if it's a bad transaction, it'll be like, don't ever trust this guy, stay far away, he's a scam. Same thing here. There's something called the Certified Exchange, the CCE, where all the dealers speak it's kind of like a message board, and where they will offer things for sale or looking to buy or whatnot. We're very well known in the industry. We work with all the major importers and distributors. We pay quickly, so it enables me to do it. It's something that a lot of companies would have a hard time doing that haven't been around as long as I have and don't have the depth of relationships and trust. So it's something I'm very proud of, and along with never having a customer complaint. It's the way to run a business.
Yes.
You don't have to be a rocket scientist to just use the golden rule, and that goes a long way, even in running a business that has done $10 billion in sales. Just do what you would want done for you, and you'll typically win.
Andy, I agree. Your company is top rated. I've never seen anybody complain. Everybody, I mean everybody, I mention your name, they all say good things. Reputation is important. My family has a restaurant here in Toledo, Ohio, and it's 55 years old. And it is a Mexican restaurant. And Andy, we have never had a liquor license. It's impossible for a Mexican restaurant to open without a liquor license. But yet we have been there for going on, I think, 8 decades now. That's a long time. And why?
Well, that is pretty impressive.
Well, the
That
reason
is pretty impressive.
the reason
Because
why
I'll tell you,
is our
when I
reputation.
go to a Mexican restaurant, a Corona usually goes pretty well with tacos. That goes to show that says a lot about the way the restaurant has been run and the quality.
Exactly, our reputation.
Anything for 55 years.
Our reputation, just like yours. Here's an interesting question. Listen, check this out, Andy. Can we exchange dinars for gold or silver once the RI goes through? That's interesting.
No.
Okay, no. Sorry.
And I'll be straight with you on this. When that happens, the probability of, let me just say that if this were to happen the way that a lot of people think, where the amount of wealth that would be created instantly is astronomical, this is an industry where a couple $1 billion would wipe out all the available product in North America. That doesn't mean there wouldn't be more coming, but I mean, it's the type of situation where, we have 80, 90 million in inventory. There are 3 or 4 or 5 companies that would have that same type of inventory, and then 3 or 4 or 5 distributors that would have much more than that, maybe 3, 4, 5 times that amount. You're talking a few $1 billion, and that eviscerates the availability. So when this happens, the priority number one would be to go, as awful as it sounds, to dollars as fast as possible, and then as fast as possible allocate those out to assets. When you look at the wealthy people in the world, it's not their massive bank accounts that add up, it's the assets that they own. Real estate, commodities, artwork, jewelry, gold, silver coins, whatever, and it's the assets. But the competition will be fierce with all the people who listen to you and others who talk about this for so long and have had the foresight to hang on. That's the most important priority, is to convert to dollars as fast as possible and then reallocate those dollars.
I agree. ZM is asking, is there a projected time frame of availability that may end when this gold rush to Franklin Miles occurs in regards to availability of metals? Or will there be some time like
Well,
30 days?
that's kind of what I was getting at. You know, I mean, we did 940 million in sales last year. We're not a small company. We can do any amount of business, but the amount of money that potentially could come out of a reset and revaluation is extraordinary. And so in normal times, I'd say no. But there have been times that things that have happened through my career that have reshaped the way that I look at things. As an example, if I told you that, let's just say Frank, you bought two stocks, stock A and stock B. And after you bought stock A and stock B, the price fell on stock A by 65% and on stock B by 35%, just collapsed.
Oof.
Would you think that there's strong demand or no demand for those stocks?
Well, there'll be strong demand because they dropped.
Well, actually, I mean, look at it this way. If the price is collapsing in gold and silver, that typically would mean that there's a lot of selling going on.
Yes.
People are selling because the price is falling.
Right.
If the price is going higher, then their people are buying. In 2008, something very interesting happened, and it shaped the way that I look at this industry very, very closely. And that goes to what I was saying about the people around the world using the futures market against us. So in 2008, the price of gold went from 1,000 to 700, and it happened in a matter of just a couple of days. The price of silver went from $21 to $9. Silver fell by over 60%, gold by over 30%. When that happened, one would assume that everyone was dumping all of their gold and silver across the globe. But in reality, every major mint in the world, starting with the U.S. Mint, which was shut down 8 times in 2008, they ran out of product right away. The Royal Canadian Mint and the Austrian Mint were working 3 8-hour shifts, working 24 hours a day, and were 16 weeks back ordered. The Rand Mint in South Africa, for the first time in its 60-year history, was sold out of product. And the Perth Mint in Australia took no new business after July. They shut down. They ran out of product. Every refinery in North America and around the globe were out of product. I was getting phone calls from distributors in Germany or in Ireland saying, can you sell me anything? Anything, because my normal supply chain in Germany and Switzerland have run dry. So what I'm getting at is this. There was a time in 2008 where the futures market, for whatever reason was behind it, collapsed the price of gold and silver. And it was done so at a time where not one person that I saw in that entire year sold 1 ounce. Nobody was selling. The paper price was driven down by futures contracts, and then some group or some people or whoever realized what was happening bought up everything physical around the globe. And I thought I was going out of business because the U.S. Mint, who I'm the authorized reseller for, would say, we will not accept any orders, and we'll let you know when we can. There's nothing to be found right now. And all of these distributors and like the Royal Canadian Mint, they were 16 to 18 weeks back ordered, and you had to pay, with $9 silver, you had to pay $20 an ounce, pay literally 4 months in advance and hope you get your silver. I thought we were going out of business. And somehow, luckily, I got a phone call from a man named David Morgan, who a lot of people in your audience would know his name. He's a silver expert. And he said, Andy, I know everything is gone everywhere. It's strange, but I'm friends with a group out of Washington called PyroNet, and they've been in the medical device business for years. They've stockpiled silver, recycling it out of X-rays machines, and they'd like to make bars. And they made these bars. They were horribly ugly. They only said 100 ounces. They didn't even say of what. They were the only thing that my company and others had access to for months at the end of 2008. And finally, at the end of right around November, December, when the Mint finally came back online, they said, listen, we'll take your order, but you will pay nearly 100% premium in silver and roughly a 30% premium in gold and you will wait for at least 8 weeks to get your product, but we can take orders. That's how back ordered it went quickly. Everyone was sold out of product at prices driven down artificially. So I would take that forward and say right now, the allocation to gold and silver investments in North America from Joe and Jane six-pack to the Harvard Endowment Fund is less than 0.5%. If all of a sudden everyone wakes up to the understanding and merits of owning metals, which I think will happen probably before the election, if I had to bet, something will happen that will wake people up. If just 5% allocation to metals, that would be a tenfold increase in demand. I mean, that's how fast things will just disappear. So I don't say that to elicit urgency, but when you talk about how small the market is, it's tiny compared to the amount of money that's out there. So, yeah, I think it's important. This is the whole concept also of accumulating whenever you can through cost averaging, and realize that, it's not always available. In fact, in the United States, it was illegal to own it from 1933 to 1974. President Ford made it legal to own again. So, availability is a privilege, and it's not something to be taken for granted. I have said for years it will define this industry. People will define it on the outside by how high the price gets, but people who follow it will say, yeah, the prices are high, but even if I could buy it, it's so hard to get, it takes so long, and it's expensive in terms of premium. So it's a good question. It's an important one, and for those that would want to buy gold and silver after any type of revaluation, expediency is called for, because there are a lot of people in the same boat.
Is there any downside to purchasing constitutional silver? What's more practical, constitutional silver or silver eagles?
Excuse me. Constitutional silver is far more practical.
True.
In the respect that if $1,000 face value bag of pre-65 dimes, there's 10,000 dimes in that bag. That's 1,000 face. Each dollar face value is 0.715 ounces of silver. Divide that by 10, 0.00715 ounces of silver per dime. 14 dimes is almost exactly 1 ounce. So the thing is this: you put a silver eagle in someone's hand, the wow factor takes over. People are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. What is that? I've never seen that. That's amazing. It's beautiful. It's brand new. It's shiny. It says 1 ounce of pure silver. And the wow fact, I think, is important. As goofy as that sounds, I think when you're talking about liquidity and trading and barter,
Yes.
the wow effect is meaningful. But, you get 14 transactions with silver dimes, or, 5 transactions with silver quarters instead of the 1 with the silver dollar. But the thing is, how many people know how much silver is in pre-65 silver? Now, that information would certainly get out, but you'd lack the wow factor with, 60-year-old dimes and quarters that you have with the brand new silver American Eagle, as goofy as that sounds. But there is nothing that offers the utility of pre-65 silver. And just so you understand how it works, if you had a swimming pool filled with dimes, quarters, and half dollars minted prior to 1965, and you took a big Home Depot orange bucket and scooped up $1,000 face value, any way you can make it, any way that you can make a dollar, 1 half dollar and 2 quarters, 10 dimes, 4 quarters, 2 half dollars, 2 quarters, and 5 dimes. Any way you make a dollar in that stuff, or 1,000 face, any way, would be 715 ounces of silver. So it does offer you utility. But if I had my druthers, I'd buy the silver American Eagle only because they have such high demand for them. The best value and utility, pre-65 constitutional. My favorite choice, the silver American Eagle.
Thank you. Carol Lee is asking a question that we've already covered, but I think it might be good to do it again because of the people that have come on. She says, do you have a catalog that you mail out? Carol Lee, Tink is about to put up the email that you, as a KTFA member, need to send to Andy. And on the subject matter, put KTFA.
FRANK26.
All right, Frank26, KTFA, Frank26. And that email will establish you to be able to have even more of a discount because you're going to be sent to my website. You're going to be sent to the place where you'll be able to get even a better discount than what you already see. Did I say that
Yeah,
right,
we
Andy?
have, well, yes, we have a website that will show much of what we carry. We have a new website that will be out in 3 weeks or less. But for many reasons, I do not post my special prices online. And if your listeners, just send that email to info@milesfranklin. Mention Frank26. Any questions that they have heard or that they have, if they want their questions answered, put a phone number. If they just want the special price list, that will be substantially better than what they see online. Give us a call, or excuse me, send an email to info@milesfranklin. Request the price list. And if that's all you want, great, no obligation. If you want to be contacted, put a phone number, and one of myself or one of our brokers will answer your questions and give you a call if that is what you wish.
Thank you, Andy. Ashley is asking, is Miles Franklin working on a credit card that is linked with gold and silver purchase?
I am the U.S. representative for a company called Glint in the United Kingdom. They do have a MasterCard. The gold that you buy, there's an online app. It is directly attached to a MasterCard that you can use. It's important to understand that when you do that, however, even with the Glint app, each transaction, if you fund the gold, let's say at $2,500 an ounce, let's say you put you can buy $1 worth of gold on the Glint app. Let's say you put in $5,000 worth, and then the price goes to $3,000 an ounce, and you use your credit card. That is a taxable event, capital gain. So there are things to think about when using these credit cards with metal that you have held in this capacity. I think it's a very cool program, offers great utility. But if the price rises, every time you use it and it's deducted from your holdings in Switzerland, it's held in a Brinks vault in Switzerland, it's really a cool program. Very, very, very impressive software, and the app on the iPhone store or Android, Glint, Glint. But every time you use it, it's a taxable event. So keep that in mind.
Let's see here. Ron Cooley, you're asking how much gold and silver can you buy per day without reporting it? Ron, there's no answer for that question, so I just want you to know that I'm just walking by that one. What is this? I visited the U.S. Lloyd's of London, and I read that they only deal with dealers, not the public. Do y'all have a staff that can help us get LL coverage on our order?
The order is fully insured
Yeah.
from start to finish, but you won't find any insurance company that will insure your gold and silver, and it's better to keep that off the radar anyway. It's one of the few things left in the world that provides anonymity legally, and so even companies like Chubb that work with high wealth family homeowners, they won't insure your metal.
Gotcha.
It's insured if it's stored in one of our Brinks facilities. It's insured throughout transit until it's signed for. But yeah, they won't insure your metal like held in your safe in your basement.
Yes, let's see. What's the next one? Deborah Cox. I believe this is a. Oh, no, this is a compliment to you. Everybody's very grateful for your information. Let's see if this is a question. I sold coins. It was a great commission. Usually it's a long hold. Bullions have done really well short term due to economic fears. Gold is a fair play. I guess that's a statement, not a question. Family, I'm looking to see if there's any more questions. With the people buying such large portions of metal, will supply become short for you? Eddie Moon is asking you.
It will become short for the industry at that level. Yes, and that's why I said with 0.5% allocation across the entire financial matrix in North America, it won't take much to see, things just disappear. But very few people even understand that bank bailouts are now illegal, and if a bank fails, bail-in legislation is now written into the Dodd-Frank Act. It's law, meaning if a bank fails and a regional bank and your money is in it, anything over the FDIC limit will be taken and go to bail in the bank. The taxpayer will not be responsible for bailing out the bank. When Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank failed, the FDIC bailed them out. And there was an inquiry, a Republican inquiry, where the Republican senator from Oklahoma said to Janet Yellen, Madam Secretary, you just bailed out Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. That's illegal according to the Dodd-Frank Act of 2009 after the great financial crisis when we bailed out all the banks. Does that mean, well, she said, you're right. She said it was an uber majority vote of the FDIC, the FOMC, which is the Federal Reserve, myself and the President. We deem them to be too systemic, but it won't have an impact on the U.S. taxpayer. Yeah, right. But the point is he said, well, does that mean if a regional bank fails in Oklahoma, my constituents will be made whole? And she said, no, sir, that's not the case. It would take that same uber majority vote. They would be bailed in. You can Google bail-in legislation, FDIC, Dodd-Frank Act. You can Google the Oklahoma senator talking to Janet Yellen in the House inquiry on the Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank failure. You'll see all of this. What that means is if one of these banks really, with commercial real estate getting creamed, where the former one AT&T center in St. Louis that was sold for $205 million to a real estate investment trust in 2006 just sold for $3.7 million, the fourth tallest building in St. Louis. These banks are getting destroyed. And when you see banks fail, when Silicon Valley Bank failed and Signature Bank failed, we added 14,000 clients in 45 days. That's 4 or 5 years with the client acquisition. And they were bailed out. You see one of these banks fail, and, the Fed and the FDIC bailed out Signature and Silicon. The other banks that have failed have been gobbled up, largely consolidated by J.P. Morgan and a few other regional banks. But if you see one fail and it's bailed in, don't few people even understand or comprehend what that is, and it is law? You mean they lost everything? Over $250,000? You mean they lost their business because they had $5 million in a business account? You mean they lost their kids' account? Yep, it's gone. And it went to bail in the indiscretions of the bank. That is bail-in legislation. Why would they have even put it into legislation if it weren't important? You see something like that happen, and immediately the public will lose their mind. Because it's one thing to lose your money in stocks or bonds or real estate. It's another thing to have it disappear in a bank that you have, since you were a little kid, putting nickels in a piggy bank, think is safe. You are now an unsecured general creditor of a bank, i.e. the last to be paid. When you deposit money in the bank, it's not a deposit, it's an unsecured loan to the bank. And they agree to pay you a little bit of interest and pay you back. That is the law. That is the fact. Now, if that happens, you will see an awakening in this country, I think, overnight, that will literally dry up everything nationwide in a matter of a day or two. Because, there's so much money out there. $1 or $2 billion in everything that every company online has is gone. And now you got to order from the Australian Mint, the South African Mint, the Austrian Mint, all across the globe. You have to order from the Canadian Mint or the U.S. Mint, and everyone is ordering at the same time. We're back ordered, don't know when you're going to get it. Yeah. This is why they say there's no bull market like the gold bull market, because every other market speaks to our desire to profit. They say we're motivated in 2 ways, greed and fear. Greed is you make all this money, you redeploy it in another asset to make more money. Fear, I'm not going back to dollars. I'm not selling. I don't care what it's worth.
That's a good
So the secondary market disappears because the higher the price goes or the scarier the world gets, reinforces your motivation for buying it to begin with. So yes, this market will be ultimately defined by an inability, no matter how much money you have, to get gold in the capacity that you want. And I do believe that, and I've been consistent saying that for years, and I think it will ultimately define the marketplace in the end.
Beautiful. My goodness, I'm learning so much. Andy, I've had you for just a little over an hour. Give me a few more minutes here. Here's a few more questions. For example, can you explain how gold is filtered through the system once it is mint? Or, excuse me, once it is mined? Can you explain how the gold is filtered through the system once it is mined?
mining is a very cost-intensive business,
Yeah.
and the mining industry has been really beaten down. So typically, the miners, when they mine the gold, they'll call a commercial bank like J.P. Morgan, who will typically say something to the extent of, "Okay, I'm wiring you the money right now. You send it to this refiner." And so they disintermediate the whole thing, and this would be one way to be great if we get rid of that meddling by the commercial banks. But the commercial banks will send it, and they'll go to a refinery where it's refined into bars or into planchets. Planchets are like a blank disc. The things would be sold to the U.S. Mint, as an example, like Sunshine Refinery. They create all of the planchets for the U.S. Mint, which then, these are blank discs of gold and silver, which then get shipped to the U.S. Mint, and they would then fashion them into coins and put them in tubes and boxes and send them out to me as a distributor to sell to the public. Maybe they get made into, bars that are by 400-ounce gold bars that end up in London, or 100-ounce gold bars that end up on the COMEX. So it's pulled out of the ground. The miners don't have the ability to, they need to get paid right away. Typically, the bullion banks like JP or Citi or Goldman will get in the middle, pay the miner immediately. The miner then sends the metal to a refiner who has it sold to an end user, like a mint or a different sovereign mint or a private mint who needs the gold and silver. They will buy it through the commercial banks, or the commercial bank will put it on to sell it to the COMEX. So there's a large chain of events, but the bottom line is that typically it's mined and then it's directed through a commercial bank who funds the project, pays the miner directly to a refinery who refines it and sends it to a mint, whether it be public or private.
Thank you, Andy. Here's, let me see. How about silver rounds? I don't know this one. How about silver rounds, either buffalo or silver eagle round? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so a round is a coin. It looks like a coin. They call it a round. The reason they don't call it a coin is because coin denotes a face value, or made by a government mint. So most of the U.S. Mint makes gold buffalo. They do not make silver buffalo.
Okay.
And maybe that's why a lot of these refiners make silver buffalo rounds. They look very much like the gold buffalo. They look like the buffalo nickel design, but and the silver eagle round, it looks like the silver eagle, but it's not made by the U.S. Mint, so it has no face value. It's an ounce of silver made by the companies that make the big bars, and they just make them look like coins.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you were going to a barbecue and there are two buckets of soda to go with your hamburger. One is Coca-Cola and one is generic soda from Costco, Kirkland brand. In the end, they both drink the same. If you had your druthers, most people would reach for the Coca-Cola, which I suspect would be emptied before the Kirkland brand, even though they may taste the same. It's just name brand recognition more than anything. But there are benefits to owning legal tender coins, reporting requirements on sellback being one of them. If you sell more than 1,000 rounds at one time, or 1,000 ounces in bar form in silver at one time, 1099 is filed. You could sell as many silver eagles as you want, and the dealer would not have to report on your behalf. Doesn't mean you're not supposed to.
Right.
But no dealer reporting when you sell back coins in any quantity, silver eagles or maple leafs. But rounds, you sell more than 1,000 or more in one trade, Social Security number is needed and a 1099 is filed.
You're a piñata of information. Mateo Daviso is asking the question: what about Sorry about that. What about the 10.5 mile cube for gold that the Chinese elders have? I don't know anything about that.
I don't know anything about that
No,
either,
okay.
but the Chinese have been accumulating, and they're the largest producers in the world, the largest accumulators in the world. They have far more gold than anyone, than they report, far more than they report. Everyone knows that. The IMF has recently talked about it. The lead analyst at Bank of Montreal has talked about it. They produce between 300 and 500 metric tons a year, and their numbers hardly ever increase. they have far more than the world knows. And I believe when we move to a Goldback system, and the BRICS will be one of the first to issue it, it will benefit those who have accumulated massive amounts using the stupidity of the Western suppression to do it. So it would behoove all of these entities to not be open and forthright about how much they have, because they get crowded out of their trade. Everyone would do the same thing. It's just like the U.S. Mint or the U.S. government. Gold at Fort Knox, supposedly 8,330 metric tons we have, hasn't been audited since 1953, I want to say. And when Ron Paul has tried to get it audited, it gets voted down. Why? It's our gold, but it's all very clandestine. So yeah, China has far more gold probably than anyone in the world. In fact, I would believe many times what the U.S. has.
To a gentleman by the name of Andy Hoffer, you're saying, do you ship to Canada? Andy, we already answered that. Andy already gave the answer. So go back and listen to the beginning of this recording. He gave some good advice for you to listen. Plan for Power says, do you sell Goldback gold currency?
No, those are the Goldbacks. I have been approached by them to do so. It really doesn't fit with my business model. They're very neat, and there is a market for them, and I'm sure they do very well. Typically, they trade at a little higher premium than I'm comfortable selling things for, and you can't really ever pull the gold out of them. They're put into the bill a tiny amount through a very high-tech process. I don't know, a chemical process, and it's more along the lines of, with all of these states, moving towards legal tender laws, accepting gold and silver as legal tender, they may catch on in some of these states and be used as currency. But no, I don't sell them. I could. I know the rep. I know one of the owners of the company. They're very reputable. It's just not really what we focus on physical gold and silver.
Yeah. I love already what you guys do. You protect your customers, I can tell. Christine is asking, Andy, when your prices say over spot, does that mean it is the current amount of the product?
It means it's the price. You take the spot price of gold or silver and add that to it, and that's the per ounce cost.
Ah, okay.
So if it says $3 over spot, then it would be $3 over the price of silver per coin.
Chuck Broichi, if I'm saying it right, is asking, is there any fees that are applied when a purchase is made?
Well, just our normal markup, that's all.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's what I figured. I'll be honest with you. I think we're done, and these other questions are kind of easy. I mean, how safe are the not at home storage locations? How do they track accountability? I don't know. Can you answer that one? Make that your last question.
Well, we have a storage program with Brinks that we've run for 15 years. I've never seen an ounce misplaced. Just don't be penny wise and pound foolish, and store with facilities that are substandard or don't offer full insurance. To me, Brinks is the best in the business. Fortune 100 company, huge balance sheet, never had an attempted break-in in any of their facilities in 100 years. So in a world where you have no choice but to use storage, I would use a major institution, major company.
Reputable.
We have the best program. I would say 100% we have the best program. And I think we're the envy of the storage industry. We have the only fixed rate program. We have several exclusives from Brinks that no one has ever been given. So I wouldn't go cheap on storage. I'll put it to you that way.
I always like to be with the best. I can tell God brought me the best with you, Andy. I'm so grateful to you, sir. Thank you very, very much once again for helping us. Family, don't forget, for all of you that are just now coming in, send an email to Andy. Send an email to Andy. And in the subject matter up on top, put FRANK26. Because that email is going to tell Andy's staff that you're my customer. And they're going to give you a further discount. This is wonderful. Now, if you are already buying from some other site, some other guru that teaches, you stay with them, okay? You be loyal to them. I am very grateful that Andy is willing to do business with me. And if anyone that is new about this and wants to be with us, send an email. And here's where you send it: info, info, at milesfranklin.com. Info at milesfranklin.com. And they'll send you, they'll respond to you. You can ask them questions. You can ask them for the price list, the catalog, whatever it may be. They'll take good care of you. I trust that they will, because I've seen nothing but wonderful comments. Their reputation precedes them. Andy, any last final comments? And I really appreciate you coming again, sir. We'll see when we can get you to come back again, okay?
Yes, sir. No, I just would simply say, trust your gut. Gold and silver are not investments, they're wealth. And if you're not a contrarian right now, I think you have the potential of being a victim. And we'd love to work with your people. We'd love to answer the questions and keep riding shotgun with you, Frank, through this crazy environment over the next few months. I think there's going to be a lot to talk about, and I'm honored to be here with you.
Thank you, sir. Patriot17 just posted, says, I've done business with Andy in the past. He's awesome! Exclamation mark.
Thank you very much, everybody. That's very kind of you. I've done it since I was 19. As I mentioned, I'll be 54 tomorrow morning, and I've done it my whole life, more than anything I've ever done. It's been like a child. I mean, I built it from nothing in a one-room office and like the size of a closet to where we are now. So I take great pride in what he says.
That's what I like.
Thank you so much for the nice words.
I like that. You see, I told you I come from a family restaurant. We've been together 55 years. We're the oldest Mexican restaurant in the city of Toledo. They even named the corner after my father's name. It's called Ezekiel H. Villa Corner, because of all of the history that we've been there. We know good quality. I know good quality. And that's why we brought Andy and Miles Franklin to you, KTFA family. God bless you, sir. Thank you, Andy, for being with us. And hey, Larry, are you there?
You and yours as well.
Let's see.
I look forward to picking up where we left off.
Hey, Larry, you get with Andy, okay?
One quick question. When you were talking about the KTF metals, Andy, you were talking about silver bars, right? You weren't talking about 5-ounce gold bars. That was silver mints, right? Remember you wanted to put KTF?
Put you gold, but everyone does silver.
Yeah, silver. That's what I thought, because there wouldn't.
Oh, it won't be gold. It would be silver. That's fine. That's fine. Can we stamp it on cookies? Well, whatever.
We'll be happy to help you with that.
Now, Larry, you talk with Andy.
No, I think we got next Tuesday planned again too, Frank.
Do we, Andy? Do we?
Yes, we had 2 weeks lined up.
Do we? Okay, so Andy, we have you next next Tuesday?
Yes, sir. That'd be great.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, bring your questions again next Tuesday, and we'll continue to study with our dear friend Andy. God bless you, Andy. Have a safe evening, and thank you, Larry, for coming and being with us, sir.
All right.
All right.
To you and yours as well.
Indeed. And God bless all of you, and thank you for coming. And don't forget, remember what the 3 wise men brought. The 3 wise men brought to baby Jesus. You see, back then, there really wasn't a sewer system, Frankincense was really important because it smelled good when they burned it as an incense. And myrrh, you can burn it, but also it's used mostly as a spice. Food was kind of bland, there wasn't a lot of salt and pepper available. Those 2 things were of great demand. And what was the universal currency? What has been the universal currency? If aliens from another planet came to the planet Earth, I'll bet you they're looking for water and gold, because we got a lot of it. So with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the American dollar is ours. We're proud of it. But unfortunately, for political reasons, it is being destroyed. It'll come back. But I don't have the time to wait for it to come back. In my opinion, precious metals will definitely fill in that gap. God bless you all. I'll see you on my ktfalways.com website or in Club 26. That would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But I will see everybody tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will continue our study of the Iraqi dinar. Eddie's team sent us some very good information, and I'm excited to share with you tomorrow. God bless you all. Pray for each other. Support each other. Visit each other. Call each other. Love each other. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sweet aloha. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
This guy is brilliant. We are blessed. Do I turn this off? Don't. Yeah, I turned it off. Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting I got to turn this off over here. Look at my rose. Isn't that beautiful? Wow. Ooh. Makes my mouth watery. It smells so good. God bless you, family. I love you.